Picture this. You just drove off the dealership lot, tightly gripping the fob of a brand new luxury car. The fresh leather smell and flawless paint make it feel like a perfect dream. But what if, in just a few short months, that dream morphs into a living nightmare? A nightmare so exhausting you would rather swallow a massive depreciation hit just to escape it. Based on IIC Cars data analyzing 18 million sales, here are 10 cars buyers instantly regret and sell in year one. Today, we are going to dive deep into these 10 specific vehicles and uncover exactly what went so terribly wrong. Before we begin, please subscribe to our channel to help us reach our dream of 100,000 subscribers. Thank you. Number 10. Mazda CX-70. On paper, the CX-70 presents itself as an absolute, undeniable bargain in the automotive market. You step inside the cabin and are immediately struck by a jaw-dropping level of craftsmanship, with interior materials, intricate stitching, and soft-touch plastics easily rivaling the likes of BMW, Audi, or Lexus. The newly developed inline-six engine purrs with a refined mechanical symphony. The steering is remarkably sharp for a vehicle of its considerable size, and at a starting price of around $54,000, it feels like a brilliant, financially responsible stepping stone into the elite luxury vehicle world. But the romance quickly fades when buyers are forced to face a harsh, inescapable identity crisis. The CX-70 is fundamentally just a CX-90 that has been entirely stripped of its third row. Owners quickly realize they paid the exact same premium price for a vehicle that offers significantly less utility, leaving them struggling to justify the purchase to their friends and families. Furthermore, Mazda's ambitious aspirations to join the upper echelon of the luxury tier hit severe mechanical snags in daily operation. The in-house developed 8-speed transmission, which unusually lacks a traditional torque converter, causes a clunky, irritating jerkiness at low parking lot speeds and in heavy stop-and-go traffic. Add to that a poorly ventilated wireless charger that essentially cooks your expensive iPhone without actually charging the battery, and a hyperactive start-stop system that aggressively shuts the engine off while you are still rolling to a complete stop. These daily friction points create a massive psychological barrier. According to the data, 7.2% of owners sell the vehicle within their very first year. This car is strictly for die-hard fans of the CX-90's exterior who harbor an inexplicable, deep-seated hatred for a third row. If you want uncompromised, flawless luxury, Mazda isn't quite there yet. Number 9. Mini Clubman. The Mini Clubman isn't just a conventional means of transportation, it is a full-blown, curated lifestyle statement. People enthusiastically drop $43,000 on this vehicle because they desperately want something undeniably unique, heavily steeped in quirky British automotive heritage, and distinct from the sea of boring crossovers. The ultimate selling point is the exterior aesthetic, specifically those iconic split rear barn doors that give the car its signature look. It feels like a boutique fashion accessory on wheels that practically guarantees pedestrians will turn their heads when you cruise through a trendy downtown district. However, fashion often requires a painful amount of suffering, and the automotive romance completely dies the second you have to actually live with this car on a daily basis. That absolute best design feature, the split barn doors, creates a thick, completely unavoidable vertical pillar right in the exact center of your rearview mirror. Backing out of a crowded grocery store parking lot or attempting to monitor highway blind spots goes from being quirky and charming to absolutely terrifying. Then comes the brutal physical toll. The Clubman rides on notoriously stiff, run-flat tires paired with a rigid, go-kart-inspired suspension geometry. Taking it on a multi-hour interstate road trip guarantees a bouncy, bone-jarring ride that transmits every single pothole and pavement crack straight into your spine, leaving you physically exhausted upon arrival. Once the initial novelty of the styling wears off, deep buyer's regret kicks in incredibly hard. The resale data shows that a significant 11.4% of Clubman buyers dump the car before even celebrating its one-year anniversary. Ultimately, this vehicle is exclusively reserved for city-dwelling fashionistas who rarely drive outside smooth city limits and prioritize parking lot aesthetics over highway visibility. Number 8. BMW 5 Series. Long considered the undisputed global standard of luxury sports sedans, buyers have historically flocked to the 5 Series, expecting a heavily driver-focused cockpit, perfectly balanced weight distribution, and a visceral mechanical connection to the pavement. The newest generation promised to aggressively elevate this legendary, decades-old legacy by introducing a cutting-edge, futuristic, and highly digitized cabin environment. You drop nearly $68,000 expecting absolute, uncompromised German engineering perfection. Instead, buyers quickly discover that BMW went way too far with the technological integration, ruthlessly eradicating almost all physical buttons. Essential daily functions, including basic climate controls and heated seats, are now entirely trapped behind a massive fingerprint-smudged touchscreen and a flashy, glowing, crystal-like trim piece they call the interaction bar. Brand loyalists feel completely betrayed and alienated, loudly complaining that driving the new 5 Series feels like swiping aimlessly on an oversized iPad rather than commanding a precision mechanical instrument. Furthermore, the underlying chassis has grown noticeably larger, significantly heavier, and is now tuned almost exclusively for soft, floating highway comfort, earning it the highly mocking title of a Mini 7 Series among automotive purists. The razor-sharp, confidence-inspiring driving dynamics of the past are entirely gone, replaced by a numb, disconnected steering feel. Since this specific model is a frequently leased vehicle, typically bound by strict 36-month financial terms, it is absolutely staggering that 13.4% of buyers willingly break their binding contracts before month 12, swallowing severe financial penalties. This latest iteration is exclusively for tech-obsessed buyers seeking a silent, effortless highway float, serving as a massive disappointment for true old-school driving enthusiasts. Number 7. Land Rover Discovery. Dropping an average transaction price of $77,000 on a full-size Land Rover Discovery is supposed to instantly buy your entry into an elite, highly exclusive club of British royalty and supreme off-road prestige. Owners hand over their money fully expecting a majestic, commanding driving experience that seamlessly transitions from dropping the children off at an expensive private school to conquering rugged, muddy mountain trails in absolute, unbothered comfort. Sadly, that majestic, upper-class experience quickly devolves into an incredibly intimate, deeply frustrating relationship with your local dealership's service advisor. The endless internet jokes regarding Land Rover's abysmal reliability are not just exaggerated memes. They are a harsh, unavoidable reality for owners. It isn't usually a catastrophic, explosive engine failure that ruins the experience. Rather, it is a relentless psychological torture of never-ending electrical gremlins. Phantom check engine lights that appear and vanish, completely blacked out infotainment screens, and random air suspension fault codes become an exhausting part of your daily automotive routine. Having an $80,000 luxury vehicle repeatedly sit in the service bay for weeks at a time, waiting for software updates, turns a mild annoyance into a blinding, unacceptable level of frustration. Patience has a strict, highly calculated dollar limit, and the analytics reveal that 13.6% of buyers eventually swallow their immense pride, take a colossal, five-figure first-year depreciation hit, and simply walk away just to permanently escape the vicious repair shop cycle. The Discovery is strictly meant for ultra-wealthy households equipped with multiple, highly reliable backup vehicles, not for anyone who depends on their car to start perfectly every single morning. Number 6. Mercedes-Benz C-Class. Heavily positioned by the brand as the highly aspirational Baby S-Class, buyers gleefully sign over $56,000 while completely mesmerized by a spectacular, theater-like cabin dripping with futuristic ambient lighting and massive cascading digital displays. They buy into the heritage, fully expecting that classic, cloud-like Mercedes-Benz glide that effortlessly isolates them from the chaotic, noisy world outside. But the initial showroom dazzle is a masterful, highly deceptive illusion that falls apart the moment the vehicle becomes a daily commuter. In actual daily operation, the heavily screen-obsessed cabin immediately becomes a massive, dangerous liability. With tactile physical buttons rendered virtually extinct, executing a simple task like adjusting the fan speed requires digging through 4 incredibly distracting layers of submenus while desperately trying to keep your eyes on the road ahead. The massive central screens frequently lag or completely freeze, and the hyper-sensitive voice assistant constantly interrupts your private conversations unprompted. Furthermore, buyers transitioning from highly reliable mainstream brands are brutally shocked by the incredibly harsh, stiff ride quality over broken pavement. Within just the first 5,000 miles of ownership, the supposedly premium vault-like cabin begins rattling, buzzing, and creaking over every speed bump, utterly shattering the grand illusion of high-end, impeccable German build quality. This massive, unforgivable disconnect between the premium price tag and the infuriating daily usability drives a substantial 14% of owners to angrily hand over the keys before their first year of ownership even ends. It is a magnificent, glowing status symbol for young, tech-savvy buyers, but an absolute nightmare for anyone seeking quiet, enduring comfort. Number 5. Range Rover Evoque. There is absolutely no denying that the Range Rover Evoque is objectively one of the most stunning, breathtaking, compact luxury SUVs ever designed in automotive history. People buy this specific vehicle with their eyes and their hearts, entirely ignoring any logical reasoning from their brains. That gorgeous, dramatically sloping coupe-like roofline, flush door handles, and highly aggressive widened stance make it look exactly like a futuristic concept car that somehow magically made it onto the production line. For roughly $58,000, you are essentially purchasing a piece of high-end automotive couture designed to generate intense envy in your neighborhood. But the exorbitant price of that exterior beauty is a brutal, unforgiving compromise on daily functionality. That breathtaking, raked roofline completely obliterates your rearward visibility, transforming simple parallel parking maneuvers and highway lane changes into a nerve-wracking, sweat-inducing guessing game. Furthermore, while the manufacturer proudly advertises it as a highly capable 5-seater, the back seat is actually a claustrophobic, knee-crushing penalty box, a painful truth most buyers only discover when awkwardly trying to squeeze an adult friend back there for a dinner trip. Combine this abysmal, laughable practicality with classic Land Rover electronic glitches where screens flicker randomly and sensors panic at shadows, and the superficial glamour fades incredibly fast. The sobering realization of having purchased a beautiful, highly flawed burden hits hard, resulting in 16.4% of owners practically giving the vehicle away within the very first year. The Evoque operates exactly like a premium designer handbag equipped with wheels, meant exclusively for single, fashion-forward professionals who prioritize driveway aesthetics far above passenger space. Number 4. Mercedes-Benz CLA. For an entry point of around $50,000, the CLA offers an incredibly tempting, almost irresistible proposition to the market. Incredibly sleek, aggressive four-door coupe styling paired directly with the highly prestigious, globally recognized three-pointed star massive on the front grille. For many young, ambitious professionals and excited, first-time luxury buyers, that visual prestige is the entire undeniable pitch. They eagerly, blindly sign the lengthy financing papers, fully expecting a highly premium, sophisticated, and isolated driving experience to perfectly match the aggressive exterior. The harsh, undeniable reality is that the CLA is the ultimate tragic victim of the modern, cheap luxury business model. The moment you step inside and touch the lower door panels, you are immediately greeted by hard, scratchy, hollow plastics that have absolutely no business whatsoever being inside a $50,000 premium vehicle. The overcomplicated, notoriously finicky MBUX infotainment system causes endless daily annoyances, but the absolute biggest, most unforgivable deal breaker is the atrocious ride quality. Heavily tuned to feel artificially sporty, the underlying suspension is violently, punishingly stiff. Every single pothole, expansion joint, and speed bump sends a jarring, painful shockwave straight up your spine, completely destroying the relaxed, serene commute you expected from a heritage luxury brand. This extreme level of rapid buyer's remorse pushes the CLA well into the statistical red zone, with a staggering 20.4% of buyers deciding to take a massive, painful financial hit simply to dump the vehicle within 12 months. It is strictly a superficial flex vehicle engineered specifically for social media optics, offering absolutely nothing for those seeking genuine, lasting refinement. Number 3, Mercedes-Benz GLB. If the aforementioned CLA is purchased purely for superficial looks, the GLB is purchased by hopeful families for its promised practicality. With its rugged, highly appealing, boxy silhouette, surprisingly spacious rear cargo area, and a highly touted, heavily marketed optional third row of seating, it confidently markets itself as the ultimate family-friendly luxury bargain at a starting price of around $51,000. Busy moms and dads view it as a highly cost-effective, intelligent way to get a prestigious European SUV into their garage without having to recklessly mortgage their house for a top-tier flagship GLE. The ultimate downfall of this vehicle lies entirely in a massive expectation gap. Beneath the attractive, rugged, boxy exterior, it sadly shares the exact same cost-cutting, front-wheel drive biased entry-level platform as the much cheaper CLA. Those harsh interior plastics aggressively creak as the chassis flexes entering driveways. The central infotainment system suffers from random, unexplained electronic hiccups, and the suspension is inexplicably, painfully stiff for a vehicle designed to haul children. The true heartbreak occurs when owners take it on the interstate and realize the massive chasm in refinement between their budget tier GLB and a true luxury SUV. The cabin is intrusively loud at highway speeds, and that heavily promised third row is so incredibly cramped it is virtually useless for anyone other than a small toddler. Deep, undeniable disappointment leads a massive 21.2% of buyers to abandon ship completely in the first year. The GLB occupies an incredibly awkward middle ground, suitable only for those who desperately need cargo space, but flat out refuse to be seen driving a highly reliable, mainstream brand. Number 2, Porsche Macan. Almost every single passionate car enthusiast dreams of one day owning a vehicle adorned with the legendary Porsche crest, and the compact Macan serves as the most financially accessible gateway into that highly exclusive, highly coveted automotive club. It truly delivers an intoxicating, deeply emotional driving experience equipped with the lightning-fast, telepathic PDK transmission and a physics-defying suspension setup that makes it feel far more like a lifted sports car than a traditional lumbering family SUV. But the sad reality is that the Macan isn't abandoned because of how it drives. It is ruthlessly abandoned because of the sheer, unadulterated financial terror it inflicts upon its owners. Many aspirational buyers stretch their monthly budgets to the absolute maximum limit just to afford the initial sticker price, completely underestimating the infamous, highly punitive Porsche tax required for routine maintenance. The very first service visit hits these owners like a massive, unstoppable freight train, with basic oil changes and standard brake pad replacements costing a small, devastating fortune. Beyond the intense financial shock, the interior cabin is very tightly packaged, and the rear seats are punishingly cramped for growing families, turning weekend road trips into cramped, miserable affairs. Forced to choose between long-term financial stability and a fun daily commute, an absolutely massive 22.2% of Macan owners reluctantly surrender the keys within less than a single year. The Macan remains an undeniable engineering masterpiece, but it is exclusively reserved for high-income earners who won't even flinch at $1,000 service bills and absolutely do not need a practical family hauler. Number 1, Land Rover Discovery Sport. Taking the absolute top, highly undesirable spot for severe first-year buyer's remorse is the Land Rover Discovery Sport. At roughly $55,000, it genuinely feels like the absolute perfect entry ticket to the realm of British luxury, boasting a highly handsome upscale exterior, a beautifully appointed leather cabin, and the immense, undeniable social prestige attached to the Land Rover badge. Buyers genuinely believe they are purchasing a highly robust, premium SUV capable of traversing the wilderness in supreme, unmatched comfort. The devastating, deeply sobering reality is that Land Rover's infamous global reputation for poor reliability is thoroughly documented in the blood, sweat, and tears of its unfortunate owners. The vehicle doesn't usually suffer from dramatic, catastrophic engine failures. Instead, it inflicts a slow, agonizing psychological death by 1,000 minor cuts. From the very first week of ownership, a relentless, highly unpredictable drip of electronic failures begins. Phantom warning chimes that cannot be silenced, repeatedly crashing infotainment systems, and heavily panicking collision sensors make frustrating dealership visits a monthly, scheduled routine. This relentless psychological warfare completely obliterates any lingering sense of pride, instantly replacing it with an exhausting, paranoid dread every single time the driver reaches out to press the ignition button. An unbelievable record-breaking 28.3% of buyers completely crack under the immense psychological pressure, willingly absorbing a catastrophic, terrifying depreciation loss just to finally free themselves from the overwhelming anxiety. Owning a highly prestigious luxury vehicle is fundamentally supposed to be an incredibly rewarding, joyful milestone in a person's life, but there is a massive, often deeply painful gap between the shimmering, carefully curated showroom lights and the gritty, uncompromising reality of daily driving. The extensive statistical data proves it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Blindly buying a car for its status symbol badge, its captivating aesthetics, or entirely misplaced expectations will inevitably cost you dearly in brutal first-year depreciation. Before signing that massive multi-year financial loan, make absolutely sure you know exactly what compromises you are getting into. Hit that like button, subscribe for more automotive truths, and comment down below if you've ever owned one of these cars.